to become who we want to be as individuals. And at the end of the day, that's going to help us be a successful offense.
Man-to-man, one-on-one coverage because the safety rolls to Jefferson's side.
Jordan Love hit me up the night of the draft, just congratulating me, let me know it's time to work. A.J. Dillon was open arms.
Von Rock caught a ball with his thighs. We didn't even talk about that.
It was more of with his ass.
If he throws a good ball, this is a running, catching touchdown untouched.
Like, KP does like these flips after every win, and I'm like just waiting for him to do his flip.
To know that we still love each other, that's what football brings us.
Across the safety's face.
So you can tune in anywhere that you guys follow us on social media. Welcome to the Practice Squad podcast. My name is John. I'm joined by my co-host Mark. We just wrapped up NFL Week 4, and as Lions fans, we're feeling pretty good right now. League's plenty of entertaining, lots of storylines going on, lots to talk about. Mark, how are we doing? I like the fit today. It's a
little
interesting
Denver. I'm repping Denver because, who knows? Stay tuned to see what happens when we do our picks for this week. Ignore the ticker. You never know. Coming off a hot win. I gotta rep Denver. And just a little color coordination.
Tank bowl to end all tank bowls, honestly.
Yeah. Never hurt anybody. A little color coordination. But NFL, great week of football, college football. Quick take on college football, John, just to set the tone here for this episode. I don't think there's been a year in the playoff era where there's this many teams that are still being talked about as potential playoff teams. Like normally there's like 6 to 7 teams that are like, yeah, I would put money on maybe them in the playoff and nobody else. You could probably make an argument that there's 15 to 20 teams that could be in the playoff, and we couldn't cross them out. We can't cancel them off the list yet.
It's next year that we're at 12 teams, right? Officially.
Yeah, this year is still 4.
All of a sudden, the conversation does become exactly what you said is like, now it's not, does this team deserve to make the playoffs or not? It's that when they do, who will they beat, right? And again, I think you and I are both on the same page. The expansion, the more NFL-like structure, the NIL, it's all good for football. I think we're in the same boat there. So I'm don't get me wrong, I'm stoked for this year and to see what happens, but I'm really stoked for next year because that entire new era of college football has truly started. And it's going to look very different. So,
off the top of my head, John, I'll just name as many as I can until I run out of thinking. You have Alabama could still do it. Texas, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ole Miss with a big win this week.
Conversations about Oregon.
Oregon, USC, UCLA, Utah. The Pac-12 has a bunch of teams representing, from that. That alone. Florida State. You still have UNC, South Carolina, some of these other smaller SEC teams that are, you don't want to cancel them out too early. Like that's already right there, like close to 12 teams. Yeah. And that's not even including some of these mid conferences that have some really good football teams that get a chance.
Talk about the upsets that could potentially occur in this 12-team bracket, right? Like you put Oregon against, Alabama or Ohio State right now. Can I tell you 99% certain that Ohio State's winning that game? Like, I don't know, right?
And I'll credit you too, John. When we had this whole NIL talk in the offseason, my prediction was those teams with the most money are going to separate themselves. Alabama's going to become even more dominant. Texas is going to become dominant. USC is going to become dominant. And you said, I don't know, I think everyone's going to be more competitive. I think we're going to see college football become more as a whole competitive. Like Alabama, those top teams are not going to be the top every single year, and it's not going to be as far of a differential in talent recruiting. And that's already happened, and NIL is brand new. So
exactly,
you add in the extension of the playoffs next year, like college football is going to rock. They're doing it the right way, making the changes. Now, I don't know about the conference realignments, how that's going to look, but I do know that the expansion of the playoff is great for college football and great for football fans in general.
Yeah, and my prediction with the conference realignments is that you get 2 super conferences by the time that this is all said and done. It might take a decade for that to eventually happen. Like, I'm not saying this is going to be a 1 or 2 year process, but I think with this 12-team structure, with the NIL, with everything that's going on in the sport, you're going to end up with just 2 super conferences that have like 30 teams each in them, and that's what it's going to look like, right?
And what does that kind of remind you of? What
what does
league
that
runs
look like?
itself
Yeah.
kind of in that manner?
That's what
I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to say.
Good
It's
transition into NFL talk, maybe? I don't know.
No, that's a great. So here's a transition. Which NFL coaches should probably be coaching a low D1 college team right now? Like Mark and I were having this discussion. Like I want you to pick one head coach and then one coordinator, either offensive or defensive, that truly shouldn't make it to Thanksgiving. Like should be out of the league, fired, gone, looking for the next thing before the season's even fully over.
It's hard. It's a hard decision because there's several coaches, honestly, that you could put in that conversation. New coaches, I always give the benefit of the doubt. You know, if it's your first year coach, I'm a little bit more hesitant. I would say Josh McDaniels is the first one for me. That this is a guy that's been a head coach in the league before with different teams. He's had some success as a coordinator. This guy just stinks as a head coach. He doesn't make good decisions. He doesn't handle his personnel right. Last week's game is still making me itch. His decision making at the end of the Steelers game. He's done stuff like that in previous years. He would be the first guy for me to fire out of the Raiders. And then a coordinator, I'm gonna have to go with Matt Canada from Pittsburgh because this guy's had several years where he has talented offensive weapons. Najee Harris, Kenny Pickett is not a bad quarterback. He's got Pickens. He's got Deontay Johnson when he's healthy. Freiermuth. He's got these guys all over the place. And he doesn't use them. He doesn't make it complicated at all. He doesn't try to change up the looks. He just does the same thing kind of every week. And defenses have very clearly figured them out. And when you have a defense as good as they have, and Mike Tomlin is good of a motivator and a culture guy, you can't have a coordinator, an offensive coordinator that bad. And he's had his opportunity. They brought in guys that they thought were going to help him. Just bring in a different OC.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on that.
I think his seat is the hottest out of any coordinator in the league by a good margin. And I agree. It's just like it, the biggest thing is, can you make excuses for the weapons that you have on the field, or are you making excuses for your OC, right? You're either doing one or two, right? Either the OC's job is hard because you don't have anybody good on the offense, or the offense sucks because you have a bunch of good guys and the OC can't scheme them open or whatever it might be. So yeah, and for me, I think, and this one's kind of obvious, I think it's a gimme, but Matt Eberflus, I don't think is going to see the end of this season. I'm not sure if Ryan Poles will. I think the Bears are very much in the tank and hit the reset button in their entirety. And why not when you're sitting with, a quarterback that's tradable for some mid-round picks, and then you might have the first and second overall pick. If the season were to end today, that's where they'd end up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of. A runner-up too that Drew wanted to throw into the chat was Frank Reich, but we said he needs time. That's a good coaching staff, I think, but 0-4 is pretty rough as a tenured head coach like Frank Reich. And
is it safe to say that Stroud should have went number 1 overall, or is that too early to say?
I think it's too early. I think I want to see where we end up at the end of the season. Now, man, Stroud
looking that way.
It looks
it's
damn
looking
good.
that way.
Really, really good. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then for coordinator, this might be predictable too. Pete Carmichael, Saints offensive coordinator. Look, you got a healthy Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Raheed Shaheed, and then you have Alvin Kamara. You have, I'd say, an above average offensive line, and Derek Carr. The fact that he can't scheme guys open when that's his cast of receivers, the fact that their run game seems to be a complete non-threat that the defensive line isn't taking seriously. It's at a point now, right, where it feels exactly like it did last season. And, everybody was MFing Andy Dalton, including myself. And I still think Andy Dalton was a huge problem, obviously. But you can't really be making those kind of excuses anymore. 6 points against, I know the Bucs are good this year, but they're still a pretty mid-tier team. 6 points against them is unacceptable. That's a division rival. You should know how that team runs its defense like the back of your hand, being in the seat that he's been in for as long as he has been. It's clear that Sean Payton was really the offensive mastermind, and I thought that would be a fine passing of the torch to him. And the offense has done nothing but regress for 3 years, and I think it's time for the Saints to find a different option because
And
there's
you
too
have
much
Jameis.
talent there.
You forgot about Jameis. Of
Famous
all these
Jameis,
guys
man.
you named,
Yeah.
you got famous Jameis.
So
He needs
yeah,
out.
I think so. And it's like very similar kind of vibe and situation as Matt Canada, where it's like, and even more so, right? Because I'd say the Saints has a more talented offense than the Steelers do. It's like, why are guys not getting open? Why are there so many 3-and-outs? Why is the run game as bad as it is when the offensive line's pretty good and Alvin Kamara is back there? I don't get it. So got to get more creative there. And then what? So next week, are we trying to do the good at football to attractive ratio?
Yeah.
Axis?
So here's a take that I have, and it's just because I watch more football than any healthy person should. And again, nothing. This is not a gay topic subject. This is just a straight like subjective opinion that I have. Some of these guys are too good looking to also be good at football.
They should be
you
like
can't have it
Hollister
all.
models or something like that.
You can't have it all.
Sure.
Like if you're going to be good at football, at least be ugly, or just you can't have it all. Some guys in this league, it's like you belong doing something else. Like you shouldn't be playing football and getting your face beat in and getting tackled by guys 3 times your size. Like there's some guys, even some big boys in the league, that are pretty damn handsome.
We've been trying to get some women guests on the show, and Taylor Swift apparently wasn't enough of an incentive to like, hey, come on and talk about Taylor Swift for a segment with us. Because some of these girls were Swifties that we reached out to.
This will get them on.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe we can get them on and be like, hey, how about you just rank who you think the hottest NFL players are?
We're gonna get
we'll
this
have
down.
an axis.
Yeah.
It will look like the next gen sports stats where somebody's running like a regression of the defensive EPA and the offensive EPA, except it's just going to be good at football, good looking. And those are the 2 axes. So I think that's a segment for next week. We're going to try to put together for you guys because, what better to, that's a total off season segment that we should have done by the way.
But it's important. It's because there's some guys
got to get down to the bottom of
there's some sexy dudes in this league. Just putting that out there.
All right. So I think that's all of our kind of like pre-episode bullshit talk. Are you ready to review some games and actually talk some X and O's and what teams are good, what teams are bad? Because man, I'm chomping at the bit personally. Like I'm fired up, especially again, as a Lions fan. And that's what we get to talk about right off the bat here about the way some of these teams are playing. I just feel like, again, like some of the stories, the news cycles, the narratives that come with a football season, I think are one of the better parts about watching this sport is yes, you have the games week to week, but then you have all the stupid stuff happening in between that makes it that much more entertaining. And look, the Lions Green Bay rivalry is exactly one of those things, right?
Is it a rivalry anymore, John?
Dog walking, right?
Dog walking. You guys saw the video? It's like walking the dog. It's routine. It's every morning you wake up, you go out there. What has to happen? The dog has to be walked. Dog has to go take a shit. That's what you do. You walk the dog. That's what the Lions do. The Packers every time they play them, whether it's at Lambeau or Ford Field, they walk the dog. It's easy. They just win. Chalk it as a win.
And I love the white ice white uniforms. I know some people, they look so good. I don't understand how there's people that don't like them. I think they look fantastic.
Remember, John, when we talked about like just simplifying uniforms to make them look clean and fresh, and how when we did our uniform rankings in the offseason, it was like some teams are trying to do too much. This is what we're talking about. Just make it clean, easy, and the eyes love to look at it. That's all it is.
No, it's phenomenal. I think the only thing that could make them better is if we had more silver, like we did like a silver pant stripe or silver numbers, because the silver helmet with the white is really what stands out to me. That's how it's icy, right? And then you got the blue accents. It's like, oh shit, like this isn't like an African lion that we're dealing with. This is like a mountain lion, like in the winter, camouflage. Yeah. That's the vibe that I get. So, look, I just love the brand of football that the Lions play. It's as simple as that. Fourth quarter, Green Bay's creeping up. They're getting a little bit of confidence. What's the best way to deal with that, right? Lions of the past, same old Lions, would have found a way to choke that game and somehow blow that lead and lose the game. Mark and I have seen it 100 times in our lives. Instead, this team leans into their identity, runs it down their throat for a 9-minute drive, just over and over again. You watch the defense go from like, let's get hype, let's make a stop, let's give our offense a chance here, to just completely demoralized, lost all faith, lost all hope by the end of that drive. And even if Walker didn't have that penalty, just the fact we ate 9 minutes of clock and went damn near 90 yards just over and over again, that's how you win football games against good teams. It's what we did against KC with a tighter, margin of victory. It was nice having just a 2-score lead and just crushing their spirits. It's the same kind of stuff that you see all the great teams do, is just put it away. And that was my big takeaway from this game. And there's a bunch of other cool subplots to talk about. But to me, it was like, man, Lions football is now just completely demoralizing a team in the fourth quarter.
Well, when was the last time that we saw a Lions team get the ball, throw an interception, Packers score right away, we go down, we're down 7-0, and there wasn't a flinch, there wasn't a worry. As a fan, I wasn't worried.
Right.
Okay. You could tell they weren't worried on the field. You drive right down the field, you score on a great double move to Amon-Ra, and it was like, we're gonna win this game. Like, there was never a worry that we were gonna lose that game, even after a horrific start. Like that, I can't remember the last time I was a Lions fan where it's like, oh, here we go again. Like, that wasn't what it felt like. It was like, oh, no, that's fine. We're gonna get the ball back. We'll go down and score. We'll get it right back again. We're gonna score again, and then we're just gonna maintain control of this game, like you said, running the ball, sprinkling in just the right amount of play action. Ben Johnson again is on top of his shit calling the plays. Aaron Glenn has gotten better as a play caller. We're getting pressure on the quarterback again, and this Lions team is definitely different. You definitely feel like as you watch the rest of the NFL, their true colors are starting to show. I like what the Lions' true colors are, man. I'm starting to like what I see, and it's not just a hype thing anymore. It's not just we could be and we should be. It's happening.
Yeah, and you throw catastrophic injuries to the mix. You throw embarrassing turnovers into the mix. You throw, any, pieces of adversity, right? The thing is that our identity's built where it doesn't matter. We're a gritty football team that's going to run the ball and kick your ass. That's Dan Campbell at the end of the day. And like you said, if that's your identity in week 16, it doesn't matter who's out of the game because they're hurt. It doesn't matter what the other team's bringing to the table. That's an easy identity to lean on to continue to win games. So
that Montgomery fantasy football, if you guys listened to our fantasy football episode, which you're an idiot if you didn't, told you guys David Montgomery could be one of the top backs in this league. Told you he's going to look a lot like how they used Jamal Williams last year. Look what's happening. 3 tuds, 34 points in fantasy this week.
Yep.
That's a week where he didn't even practice due to an injury. You can imagine when he's actually involved in the game plan during the week. He's a beast. Jahmyr Gibbs is a good changeup. Thunder and lightning. J-Mo's back. I know John wants to talk about that. He's back. I mean, since when do we get blessed with a suspension getting shortened? Baby. Has that ever happened where we get a suspension shortened?
No.
Like, everything's going our way right now.
Yeah. And look, I almost feel like I have too many Lions on my fantasy roster, but it's hard not to. I mean, Amon-Ra is consistently good for, 5 to 10 catches a game. Sam Laporta is really coming into his own very early into the season at a very hard position. And I had him and Hawkinson in 2 out of my 3 leagues. So now I'm trading one of them away because I don't need
another guy that was in our fantasy watch list for rookies. We graded him very high during the draft process when we did our draft recap videos. All that stuff, if you want to check the receipts, is still on our page. Go and look.
We got him. People
are starting to say that maybe we know ball.
I'd like to think
that true?
So. I don't know. I'd like
look
to
at the record. Look at our picks. I don't know. Everything's starting to take an upturn on this podcast. This is no more come and watch us be wrong. I mean, sure, happens.
Denver happens for me this week, and I'll own up to it. Miami happens. Right. That did not go as planned. And I posted a medium form video with us doing the Miami film review, and I scheduled it to post off of the heels of that game, because I was so convinced that Miami was going to win it. Oh, people are going to be hyped up. They're going to go on YouTube and see how good the Miami offense is. And instead, there's like this old head commenting like, great time to post this video, asshole. And I'm like, I deserve that one. But anyways,
It is what it is.
Yeah, look, mistakes are going to happen. At the same time, though, I think for the most part, we're pretty good at getting a pulse on the league. The other thing I want to mention, too, is like, I wouldn't be as demoralized as the Packers are acting right now. You guys just got your ass handed to you by the team that's probably going to win the division, but one of the better teams in the league. I thought Jordan Love's ability to rally his team in the third quarter was pretty impressive. I do think they had a pretty decent offensive game plan, given the fact that their offensive line was so beat up, and defense came to play. In that third quarter, they were really actually getting home to Jared Goff. They were covering guys. So it's just, again, the Lions are built that those defenses that are playing aggressive and fast just get worn down and can't keep up. And it's as simple as that. Also, Packers fan that poured a beer on Amon Ra. Look, I hope you feel good about yourself, man. You guys
what
got
that
smoke
is?
in your own
You done
stadium.
fucked up. That's what
It's
that
jealousy,
is,
dude.
That's you don't do that to a pit bull. That's what Amon Ra's a pit bull, man. He is not a lion.
Got that
he
dog
is a
in
pit
him.
bull. He's different. You saw obviously him blowing a kiss to the Packers fan that was flipping him off after the game. Iconic Lions Packers picture. But again, this is no longer a rivalry. When a team beats you 4 straight times in the manner that they've beaten you, and they've ended a tenure of one of the most legendary quarterbacks in NFL history at your place to keep you out of the playoffs last year, and then you still can't get revenge the next time you play them at Lambeau on Thursday night primetime football. Sorry, but that rivalry is no longer a rivalry until the Green Bay beats us again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at Ford Field at the end of the season. That'll be a fun one. So,
I'll be at the game this weekend, by the way.
You will. All right, everybody, say what up to Mark. If you see him there, I think he might be wearing some of the new merch that we have on the horizon if it ships quickly enough. So we're gonna get some modeling pictures of that, and then it will be up for everybody else to purchase. London game, Falcons at Jags. Did you check the Toy Story stream out at all?
I've seen clips and stuff of it. I can't get behind that. I have to watch real football. I'm sorry. I
just like popped into it a couple times. I was mind blown that like real time these animated little like figures of
how does that work?
I have no clue. It was crazy.
Is it actually real time?
Basically, it was like I don't know what the delay was, maybe a minute.
Yeah, I don't know how you.
It was crazy. I was absolutely mind blown. But look, Jags put it away at their home, away from home. Definitely a much needed kind of confidence boosting game. The best that they could. And
they're staying they're staying in London too. Don't forget that.
Right, and then Falcons went from 2-0 to 2-2, so they got to kind of go back to the drawing board here. And Arthur Smith, is. It's partially a Ritter conversation, but it's partially like, what are you doing with your weapons, man? Like, I get running the ball's your identity, but like, you do have Kyle Pitts still. You do have Drake London still. Like, maybe you can throw him the ball every once in a while.
Hey,
so I think
also,
that's kind
like,
of a big narrative right now.
Also, like, maybe consider Taylor Heineke, a proven guy who's won in this league, who has clearly won over football teams before as an underdog.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. Like, why wait? Like, why are teams so slow to pull a trigger on making that switch? Like, I don't understand why teams wait. And then it's like, well, now we're almost completely out of playoff contention. Now we'll try it. Like, dude, like, you're not a bad football team. Like, what are they, 2-2 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make the switch
right in the thick of it
before it's too late.
Right. Because you don't want to be making, considering changing those things when you're, 2-5, right?
Get him in there. Yeah. They're a different team with him at the helm, I think. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, man. He's got that dog in him. All right, Dolphins at Bills. And to start this game, right, you think, all right, this is going to be one of those battles of juggernauts because Dolphins score twice back-to-back, Bills score twice back-to-back. It's 14 all. They're going at it, and then all of a sudden, just something awakens inside of the Bills defense primarily. They're able to actually hold the Dolphins offense off, and the Bills offense just starts popping. And it was basically lights out in that entire second half. I mean, I don't think the Dolphins even had hope. So crazy game.
I want to give Josh Allen an apology. I think you owe him an apology. I owe him an apology. Madden curse, all the stuff we talked about. This dude heard all of the shit we talked after week 1's loss to the Jets. He played horrible. Right, 4 interceptions in that game, did not look good. he threw more touchdowns than incompletions this week against what people were saying was the best team in football going into the game, right? Miami's the best team in football, best
Right.
offense we've ever seen through 3 games. Tua might be like everything is pointing towards Miami's the team to beat in this division, and it's going to be their year. And the Bills and Josh Allen came in with a purpose. And they sent a message pretty damn clear that they're for real. They have not gone anywhere, and this is still their division until otherwise said.
Yeah, I think it's their division to lose at this point, which it's tough, man, because Miami's damn good, but you got to win those games if you want to win the division. Got to win the divisional games if you want to win.
They're okay because that it was in Buffalo, so they come back to Miami the next time.
Yep.
So they're not dead. They're tied right now. Obviously, Buffalo's the tiebreaker for first in the division, but this is going to be a competitive division. We knew that, and we knew there was a lot of good teams. But man, did Buffalo look good. I mean, that was truly just a stampede of dominance, both O and D. Stephon Diggs, 3 touchdowns. Preview to the alien players of the week that will be coming here soon.
Thumbnails looking spicy this week.
You might see some Bills players and plays in that this week,
yeah,
because it was special.
Yeah,
it
was an awesome game, probably the best 1 o'clock slot of the week. Then you got the Commanders, who gave the Eagles a lot of trouble last year. They broke their undefeated streak in if I'm remembering correctly, wasn't overtime.
Week 8. It was a blowout. They won by like double digits.
It was a 1-score game. It was close. Eagles were trying to come back, and then they had a late hit on Heineke, and that basically put it away. I can't remember exactly how that worked.
I think it was like more. I think they won by like more than 10.
Really? Huh? Maybe I'm the one.
We can have Drew fact check. Drew, while we're talking about the rest of this game. The Eagles are good. They're still right up there in the top of the league, but they've been shaky in some games, and they have shown they're not as dominant as they were last year. That's for sure. And
they're squeaking by in a couple 1-score games, man. And
Washington is a tough team. Washington's a tough team. They will not go away. They do not roll over. The throw at the end of the game from Sam Howell on the last play to force overtime was unbelievable. Total onions throw. And then you go into overtime and you lose at Philly. I don't know. I think that the Commanders, what I took away from this game is the Commanders are not nearly as bad as people were saying they were going to be, which actually, John, you were saying they might be a little bit better. And I think Philly has crept down on that NFC list where I'd say Philly is closer to Detroit than they are to San Francisco in terms of the NFC.
Which is not a slight, right? I think Philly.
No, it's not. I'm not trying to slight them.
Yeah, Philly has weaknesses that they can and should be able to address. Let's not forget they lost both their offensive and defensive coordinator. So it's taking a little bit of time for them to get up and running again. I think to the point where they're just like totally crushing teams like they were last season. And both of those coordinators aren't doing horrible as rookie head coaches either. They're at the Colts and at the Cardinals, who while their win totals might not be great, they're still playing some decent football.
They're doing better than both those teams are doing better than people thought they would. The Colts and the Cardinals.
So,
but the quarterback sneak push that the Eagles have perfected. Have you noticed everyone's trying it and no one is having the like it's crazy. I think it's actually failing more than it's working.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
It sounds like the tush push actually takes skill, and for that reason, people that are saying you can't stop it, so we need to ban it from the league probably need to shut up because no, it's just the Eagles are that good at doing it.
Like, sorry, they're really good at a play that they practice, and you have a quarterback that can squat
600 pounds.
Yeah. So,
I am shocked that the Vikings won this game after Kirk Cousins throwing a 99-yard pick six. I get that was only one play.
Yet. Funniest clip of the. There's nothing funnier than when a quarterback throws an interception,
tries to make the tackle
when it's a wide open. Like when it's most likely going to be a pick six because it's one of those bang bang interceptions that the defender's ahead of every other offensive player except for the lineman and the quarterback. And so when you see that it's like basically a breakaway, and all you see is the quarterback as the last line of defense turning and running with his head, not even looking at the ball. Kirk turned and literally ran with his head down, looked back, head down, looks back, head down, like he's just going as fast as he can. And then by the time he gets to the point where there's about to be an actual tackle, the other guys have caught up and he gets leveled to make matters worse. And then an easy cutback for a touchdown. There's nothing more demoralizing than throwing a 99-yard pick six. And at the end of the play, you get absolutely leveled airborne onto your back. Like,
yeah, it was brutal. And from the embarrassment alone, I'm surprised that the Vikings still ended up winning this game.
Kirk has no shame, clearly. No shame. Justin Jefferson, still certified best receiver in the league. Great game from him. I liked what I saw. And like you said, the Panthers, the problems we remember when we did a preview on the Panthers, John, and we were talking about the preseason game that they played against the Jets. And we said, listen, you can't protect the quarterback. Okay. And you can't create separation down the field. It's like having two terminal illnesses, right? Remember we said that?
Yeah, right. It's showing, man.
It's that you not good.
No, really not good. And they're going to continue to struggle with that. And obviously they have the Lions this next week here. And I think Mark and I are pretty confident about the Lions odds going into that game. So I guess just a little preview there on probably, where we'll end up pick wise. Steelers at Texans.
Holy shit. No one saw this coming.
Yeah, look, the Texans, they had one of the best uniforms of the week, easily. Those red helmets look so good with those red jerseys.
Love those.
But yeah, man, I mean, Texans are playing good football. And Mark and I were speculating, like, CJ Stroud, as of right now, is the best rookie of this quarterback class. Will he end up that way in the season? Will he end up that way, in his career? Way too early to tell. But, man, he looks damn good playing behind a shitty offensive line. He's just making it work. And D'Amico Ryans, man, hats off to that defense,
I love D'Amico Ryans, man.
Real.
And I'm telling you this. Remember when we said that they won the draft? When they went with Stroud and they went with Will Anderson and they were aggressive in saying, we're going to compete now. We're not going to wait. D'Amico Ryans came in firing as a head coach, wanted to make a statement that they're not going to wait around and have a developmental year. We're going to go compete right now. And that's exactly what they're doing. And kudos to them. And it's not just those two pieces. They've put pieces around them. They're definitely helping out CJ Stroud and making it a quarterback-friendly system, which, wow, ironically is what they do in San Francisco as well. So they play good defensive football. They protect the quarterback. They keep him in good situations. And this is what happens. I mean, the Steelers are a really good defense, or really good defense that we've seen even guys like Joe Burrow struggle against.
Yeah.
Okay. And Lamar Jackson, right? Those guys struggle against Pittsburgh, and CJ Stroud in his first time ever playing a Mike Tomlin team and a tough Steelers team with weapons all over the defense hangs 30 on them and wins in a dominating fashion. I'm happy for the Texans, and I think that they'll probably win their division, which is awesome to see. I think that they're the guy, they're the team to beat in that division.
Over the Jags, you're saying?
Yeah, right now I'd say that.
Wow, that's a bold take, but I like it.
What happened when they played the Jags?
What happens when they play the Jags? Yeah.
What happened when they played the
Jags?
Jags?
Yeah, they kicked their asses. Actually, it wasn't really even that close. So
in Jacksonville.
Baltimore at Browns. And hey, Mark, look, I know you've had your second guesses about the Ravens. An injured Ravens team went out there. Yes, they're missing Deshaun, but that has nothing to do with the Browns defense. And they put up 28 on the Browns defense, a defense that hasn't let up really anything all year. I think they've kept an average of 6 first downs per game to their opposing teams, which is a crazy stat. They're a damn good defense, and the Ravens didn't only get it done; they got it done in deciding fashion. So I don't know if you're having second guesses about Lamar, his ability to win games, anything like that, but I was blown away by this.
I'm not sold yet. Deshaun Watson didn't play.
Sure.
Your boy
DTR did not have
a great showing. Again, preseason football does not always translate to regular season.
In his
football.
defense, I don't think he was really expecting to play until
You have to always be ready though as a backup. This is their life. This is their life. This isn't. Good win for Baltimore. I'm definitely slowly starting to eat my words, but it's definitely not completely. Happened. I'll say this too before we get into the rest of this game. 21-31 was that Commander score last year. 10 points. Didn't I say 10 points?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't realize.
Spot on.
So David Njoku actually burned his hands and face last week. He was actually questionable going into this game. And he decided to take that and turn it into the most badass entrance to a game. I think this might be the hardest fit I've ever seen. He looks like a Batman villain. Like this is like origin story. Yeah, I got some burn scars on my face and now I wear this super insane mask and I'm so jacked that I don't
Yeah,
need
that's
to
a
wear
sweet
shirt.
origin story. That is a sweet that's a sweet villain origin story. Obviously the coat is sick. I mean, October rolls around and all of a sudden guys are at, Halloween becomes in full force.
But like he had like context, like he had an excuse to come
I know. Yeah.
to
I
this
mean,
facility
that's
like
sick.
this.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, if you're
It's
gonna burn your
badass.
hands and face like an idiot, then you might as well make it sick.
Oh man, that's just one of the coolest entrants. And like honestly, I'm for turning the NFL into something that kind of feels just at least in its presentation a little bit more like, like boxing or like WWE, like where like these guys are just larger than life. They kind of feel like superheroes, even though like, obviously WWE gets a little too gimmicky with all that stuff because that's the point. None of it's real. But boxers do a good job of that too, right? And I like that. I like that vibe to the NFL. Show up looking like a supervillain to your games. I'm all for it.
We've also seen him have like entrance songs. Like Philly had like some Meek Mill. The 49ers had they would play Kodak in that run to the NFC Championship last year. I kind of like that too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, make the stuff larger in life because these
It
guys
is
are doing larger than life stuff. Exactly. So I'm all there for the spectacle. It's supposed to be entertainment at the end of the day. Make it entertaining. So Mark, I don't know if you saw this one come in. I sure as hell didn't. Not so much Bengals scoring 3 points, but the Titans scoring 27.
I had Cincinnati in my best bets. I mean, they're the only team in my best bets that lost. I don't know what's going on, man. I mean, here's the question of the day. Joe Burrow is clearly not 100% healthy. He's playing through an injury that's preventing him from doing what makes him great. There's certain injuries, John, that quarterbacks can play through, and it's going to make them worse, but it doesn't make them a different player. This injury is making him a different player. He can't push off and have the same power behind his throws. He can't move and manipulate the pocket, which makes him so great because he's got that sneaky athleticism that's made him just so tough to stop because he can scramble, he can throw on the run, and he can run the ball. He can't do any of that right now. He's just standing back there. It's just not working. And I don't know at what point you put somebody else in and let him get healthy.
You're running out of time to do that.
They're running out of time. They're absolutely running because they cannot afford to lose any more games.
No, you need to start winning now. Like that's your only option. So.
And let's not overreact too, because we've seen Cincinnati do stuff like this before where they start slow, but this is as slow as a start as we've seen from a team that going into the year, most people said Super Bowl contender, and people look at you crazy if you didn't say that they were a contender. Right now, they look like one of the worst teams in the AFC.
You have basically 1 week to turn it around, and it's no longer an overreaction because you're right. They start slow basically every year, and they pick it up. You can't really recover from being a 1-4 team. That's not really an option. So, Tampa at the Saints. Like I said, Saints just forgot how to play offense entirely at this point. I cannot believe with how much talent is on that side of the ball at this point that they can't score touchdowns. And also, hats off to Tampa, man. I think in the same way that we thought, the Seahawks the year prior losing Russell Wilson were just going to be in shambles. Man, they get Baker Mayfield, and they look like they didn't skip a beat from the GOAT retiring. That's impossible to wrap my head around. They've been playing really good football. Defensively, they're bringing it to teams, and offensively, they're doing exactly what they need to do to keep themselves in games more often than not. A lot of ball control, a lot of short passes, but Baker and the boys are making it happen, and you got to love to see it, right? For Baker in general.
You know what's funny, John, is it's when people bet against Baker Mayfield and you think you're going to be right doing that, and his entire life that's what he's done is he's proved those people wrong. As a high school player going into college, wasn't big enough, wasn't good enough, had to go and transfer into Oklahoma to have a chance to play, had to be a walk-on, earn a scholarship, had to earn the starting spot, had to beat teams that people picked, when they play Ohio State, their favorite, have to beat Ohio State and do that. When every single time he was an underdog in a game, it seems like he came to play. Gets drafted in the NFL, people are saying he's going to be a bust, number one pick, way too high. Has a great season, gets the Browns to the playoffs, has an injury. People say, "Oh my God, he's terrible. He's look at the interceptions, can't throw the ball, can't do anything in the NFL, too small." Goes to Tampa or goes to the Rams first, shows what he can do there. Still, people are talking down. Earns a starting spot in Tampa, and look what he's done. You keep thinking he can't do it. It's pretty damn clear that he can do it, and he overcomes
Number one
the odds
in the
every
NFC
single
South
time.
now. So it's
he looked great. I mean, he
yeah.
looked great in that
He looked
game.
really good. I can't, and that was like my one positive takeaway of watching this game was I was just like, man, like Baker Mayfield really is getting it done. That's cool to watch. All right, Tank Bowl, and man, was it a Tank Bowl? Was it ever a Tank? Chicago
Exciting
had victory
game
in their grasp, 28-7, and the Broncos end up coming back to win it. Justin Fields just totally collapsed on himself. The coaching is horrible. Things are not good in Chicago right now. I have a couple of buddies that I work with that are Chicago fans, and like they're at the point they're like, "Hey man, if we don't win this game, it's Caleb Williams' season. I don't care. Like, get rid of Fields. It's time to go. Like, we're done." Like,
Well, I think that was what they were thinking, John, because the decision in a tie game in comfortable field goal range, 4th and 1, you decide to run probably the worst 4th down call there is. You go to shotgun, you hand the ball off straight down the middle. Terrible play call. That was a tank decision if I've ever seen one. They come back. I think they were up 21-0, weren't they? And blew it.
28-7. I think was the biggest lead. Yeah. So same differential. Obviously.
Can we show the Bears graphic that I sent you on Twitter of teams that have won a game since Elon Musk bought Twitter? Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, the graphic, I mean, you have to literally squint to see some of the teams. That's how many teams are on there that have won a game.
It's every game in every professional league, basically.
Yeah. October 2022 was when this deal was finalized with Twitter and Elon Musk buying it. And the only team that I'm seeing on this graphic is the Bears that have not won a singular game since October 2020. We're coming up on a full year since they've won a game.
Yeah, I think it's like next week or something. It's like 350 something days. So brutal reality if you're a Bears fan right now. I'm sorry about it, but not really. Rams are starting to play Sean McVay level football again, with all of the issues that they've had, with all of the talent turnover, with the fact that they had more, rookies and unsigned free agents than basically anybody else in the league. They're coming to play. And, this is the crazy stat, right? Puka Nacua is currently outpacing the 2 best receiving yard seasons in NFL history, previously owned by Cooper Kupp, his 2021 Super Bowl year, and Calvin Johnson. And my argument to Mark here is, who's the arm behind all 3 of those guys? Matthew Stafford. And I know Mark likes to hate. I can't do it, man. Matt Stafford.
What does that stat mean?
He makes wide receivers great, is what it means. Yes.
No, it means he throws to the same guy over and over again because he predetermines where he's going with the ball, which is why he throws a ton of interceptions. And on top of all of that, he throws a lot because they're losing in a lot of games.
And he's got a laser cannon of an arm. And
I didn't
the
say
Rams
he didn't.
have a winning record. So
I didn't say those are true things as well. But everything that we just said, you and I, can be true.
Hey, okay, here's a better example than Calvin Johnson, Cooper Kupp, and Puka then. Remember that Kenny Galladay guy?
We're not going to do that.
The fall off was crazy. Stafford makes receivers good. Stafford brings the best out of his receivers. And when you pair him with superstars like Calvin Johnson, like Cooper Kupp, you get greatness. And that's what we got. So
Puka Nacua, by the way, is in that group of guys that are too handsome to also be doing this in the NFL.
He's got the flow. It's got a, definitely could be like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Cooper Kupp, not so much. Cooper Kupp looks like he, was farm raised, kind of Billy Goat vibes, but that's okay. He's still a stud of an athlete. So, Raiders at Chargers. Raiders missing another handsome player, Jimmy G. Instead, they have Aiden O'Connell, who has a mustache that I could have grown when I was 11 years old. but it's okay. I'm happy that he's rocking it. My biggest takeaway from this game, other than, the Chargers being able to get a critical win when they needed it, Justin Herbert being a dog and playing with a gruesomely injured finger on his left hand, is the fact that who was it that took his head off and got kicked out of the game? Former teammate of his name's escaping me now. The linebacker with the late hit. You know what I'm talking about? Tillery. That was a crazy play, and it was a great testament to just how much this team loves Justin Herbert, because the entire Charger sideline was ready to kill that dude as soon as that's how
it should be, man.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert is the golden boy. He's the golden arm in LA. He is everything that represents Zeus about Bolt Up and what the Chargers are.
We need the beard. Justin Herbert, grow a beard, dude.
He is gifted. The throw he made to clinch that game was, to this point in the year, the best throw of the season. Given the circumstances, injury on his finger, right, bandaged up, so he's already playing. He's a dog. He's tough. You already have that happening. To your point, that's like Stafford-esque, playing through an injury, just tough no matter what. Throwing that ball at that time, putting it where he put it, making the decision to throw that ball, stepping up in the pocket. I mean, that is not easy to clinch the game. The Chargers, again, almost blew another game. So you look at Staley and circle him back to those coaches that maybe are on the hot seat, but they won. They're 2-2. I said a few weeks ago, don't write off the Chargers. I know things always look shaky with them, but they're so damn talented. And with a quarterback like that leading you, you're always going to have a chance.
Yeah, and it's crazy, certain teams start 2-0, other teams start 0-2, and then, a couple more weeks go by and both of those teams are 500, right? And it's with the NFL, there's so much parity, so much can happen. Can't get too hot, can't get too cold, because you can turn it around really quick.
You know who else is a dog in this game too? Shout out on the dog alert, Devontae Adams. Lands on his shoulder, did not look good, goes to the locker room, had like no fantasy points, comes out, and they're feeding him. And he's a big part of the reason why they were in this game.
People were speculating like broken collarbone and stuff like that. And
I think he had an AC joint sprain or something, but he came out,
crazy,
little painkillers. And when the media asked him, he's like, because I got to be a dog. I got to go play. I got to go help my team win.
And he, by the way, is not happy to be at Las Vegas at this time. So the fact that doesn't really alter his mentality
I'm hoping
too
that
much.
I'm hoping he's in the trade rumors here before the trade deadline.
Yeah, there's a couple guys on the Raiders that people are talking about. Like how nice would it be if Max Crosby was on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson, kind of, conversations that I've heard a couple times.
Eastern Michigan guy, come on back home to Michigan.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, I think that we're getting a little delusional with that because Brad Holmes is aggressive, but not in that way usually. I would like to see, the Lions' only weaknesses basically is you could beef up the pass rush a little bit. You could maybe add one more receiver into the mix, but I think, we'll see what JMO does. Maybe you already got that guy on your team and you just don't know it yet. So a lot of exciting things there, but I do think McDaniels is going to kind of go into lame duck mode and they're going to start trading some players away sooner than later here because
if he's smart, which he's not smart, so he probably won't trade anybody. They'll lose 11 more games and he'll get fired.
Yep. And then right back to the same old Raiders, blowing some first round draft picks on guys that end up in jail a year later and same old story. So really unfortunate. Cardinals at San Fran. And again, like this Cardinals team, man, they're not good, but they're gritty. And gritty teams can go a long way. They play hard football. They get really chippy. Obviously, we saw them take it to Dallas, but even I know the 49ers ended up pulling away. But to start this game, man, like things were pretty close. Things were pretty tight. And with it being a divisional game, lots of fights, lots of arguments, lots of guys playing physical football. Interesting game to watch for sure. But at the end of the day, Christian McCaffrey pretty much put God mode on. Took the whole game in his hands and they slaughtered him to end the second half there.
Do you understand how good you have to be to have your teammates are George Kittle, Debo, Juszczyk, Ayuk, Trent Williams, all these freaks, and that's just on the offensive side of the ball, and you look that much better than everybody else, and you score 4 touchdowns in a game, could have easily been 5 if they chose to give you the ball. Do you understand how good you have to be? Like, you're making these other star players look average.
And again, like, for those of you that counted the 49ers out because of Brock Purdy, like, you got to feel kind of dumb at this point. I mean, they look so ridiculously good. They obviously have a big challenge coming up against the Cowboys this week. But I mean, that's a defining game right there, right? Who walks away from that game, they can kind of claim, hey, like, we're at the top of this conference right now. I love watching the 49ers play football, and I'm super stoked to see how that game
Not even
goes.
just the top of the conference, John. I think it's safe to say that the NFC is separating themselves at the top from the AFC. Like, the top 4 or 5 NFC teams are much better than the top 4 or 5 AFC teams.
So here's the thing. I agree with you completely. We would have been called crazy had we had said or even thought that in the offseason. We've heard it so many times. AFC so much better, so much better. They got the star quarterbacks, they got the superstar teams. And you really look at this league right now, and man, AFC looks like a dogfight, but not in the kind of way that they're all so good they're beating up on each other, but more so like it's a lot of sloppy teams that haven't figured it out yet. And then there's a couple teams in the NFC that really look like they got it together. So I agree with you completely, Mark. Cowboys got their confidence back against the Pats. Again, Bill Belichick era Patriots are dead. Sorry to say it. Sorry about it. But it's
Mac
nothing
Jones, not the guy. How many times are we gonna have to, like, Bailey Zappi's better?
He is.
Another one of those situations where, like, what are you waiting for? Make the switch. Give the kid a chance. Remember when you had a guy named Tom Brady on your bench and you had to wait till Bledsoe almost died getting hit out as a cheap shot out of bounds to put that kid in the game? Put him in the game.
Yeah, I think Belichick's stubbornness is absolutely hurting him in more ways than just who you have at starting quarterback too. Yeah. So,
and I get Zappy went in and was bad too, but it's pretty hard to put anybody in the game where it's 38-3 and expect him to just step in there and do well. But give Zappy a chance from the get-go. Let him start a game.
Yeah, hey, at least Zappy isn't going to try to hit people in the nuts, every single game. So that's at least your quarterback won't be known for that, which is good. Casey at Jets, and look, the big narrative about this game, Zach Wilson, for maybe the first time ever, looked like he knew how to play starting level, NFL level, winning team level quarterback. And additionally, Casey's offense does not seem to be as high-powered as it used to be. And you have to start asking questions. Is Eric Bieniemy more of an influence to that offense than everybody was previously giving it credit? Because the Commanders, for as untalented as they are, and the shambles that they were in prior to this season, and the ownership changeover, and all of that stuff, look pretty decent. And Casey's offense just doesn't look quite the same. And the Jets defense really brought it to him this game as well. A lot of questionable ref ball kind of calls too. I don't know if I really agree with them, but you hate a good game like this to end with conversations about blown calls.
The call at the end on Sauce Gardner was terrible. Not a good call. The Chiefs definitely got bailed out of this game. Zach Wilson played pretty damn well. Do we contribute this play to the fact that Taylor Swift was up there?
No. Donna Kelsey.
Okay.
Zach Wilson.
All right, I get it. He is a MILF hunter.
Right. Okay. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers maybe he didn't have a headset on. He didn't do any of that. But I think just maybe I do genuinely believe Zach Wilson looks up to Aaron Rodgers a ton, views him as a friend, views him as a mentor. I don't think you can understate what him just kind of being back in the building can mean for that team. And that was what Aaron Rodgers was kind of harping on is like, hey, stop tearing each other apart, come together, play some damn good football. We're still in this. And they brought it to the defending Super Bowl champs, came a little bit short, but you got to be impressed with the effort for sure.
I refuse to say that the Jets are out of it. Like, they're still a damn good football team. And Zach Wilson is just a few plays away from winning these games. And if that starts to happen, look out. That's all I'm saying.
For real. And look, all Wilson does is need to just get him over the hump, right? Get to 9-8, something along those lines, and see if Rodgers. I mean, Rodgers is basically 6 weeks ahead of schedule on his Achilles.
Yeah, the
tear.
fact that he's walking around and stuff, putting any weight on that
Crazy.
already, hey, like we said, if anyone was going to do it, Aaron Rodgers is the guy that's somehow going to pull that off.
Yeah, he's built different for sure. And then this monstrosity of a game, the Giants are dead. Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. Their offensive line is bad. They don't have any weapons at the skill positions, and the play calling was shitty. It was really bad. I think 4 turnovers. Seahawks read them like a book.
11 sacks, right?
11 sacks, 4 turnovers. I mean, Seahawks just defensively, it's like they knew what was going to happen before it happened every play. And got to give a shout out to Witherspoon too. What an amazing rookie performance. I think he came away with 2 sacks and a pick 6. I mean, you can't have a much better stat line than that. So
yeah, the Seahawks, I talked about them as a team that maybe is a threat to the San Francisco 49ers. Too early to tell, right? They haven't played yet, but they look like a pretty damn good football team. Geno looked good. Pete Carroll gets the most out of his guys, right? Every single year, he's going to get the most out of his guys. Like you said, though, John, this is more, I don't think this is more about how good Seattle is. This is more about how bad the Giants are. Daniel Jones sucks. You paid him. You feel stupid already. This is not about Saquon not playing. This is not about any of that. We talked about this in our preview to this season. The Giants somehow won 9 or 10 games last year. They had an easy-ass schedule. They won games that they shouldn't have. This year, they have a harder schedule with basically the same roster. You didn't really do anything to get better. And we said it might get ugly for them. Well, it has. They are probably the worst team. I think they're the second worst team in the NFL behind the Bears. That's my opinion.
Might be right. I mean, their point differential is something crazy. It's like 70 points. Like, that's ridiculous. Being 4 games into the season. You're stuck with Daniel Jones for sure until the end of next season because he has a $20 million cap hit that you can just not afford to cut loose, really. So, hey, man, you dug your own grave. Now you got to lay in it. Sorry. Moving on to next week's games. So we got to
get into it.
Bye week teams at the bottom of the graphic now. So it's looking a little lighter, a little less picks, a little less games to choose from. We got Tampa, Chargers, Browns, and Seattle all resting up on a 2-week break. So just things to consider for when they're
much
back.
Needed for those teams, by the way.
Yeah,
Herbert gets healthy. Yep. Deshaun figures it out. Geno had a little scare in that game. It's
Jamal Adams. Can we talk about that real quick? Huge. Comes back into the game. He hasn't played football in a little over a year, and 9 plays in is out with a concussion. Almost fought the doctor, or whoever it is that made that call.
Yeah, it's an emotional game. He's clearly been itching at the bit to get back out there. He's back out there. He gets a taste of what it's like to be out there, and he, and here's the irony of it is he lowered his head. They teach you not to do that. He does it all the time. He's been doing it since he was at LSU in college. They say, do not lower the crown of your helmet to make a tackle. What did he do? He tried to take a dive at Daniel Jones and, again, even something like that. Everyone talks about, football being this dangerous sport and all the head-to-head collisions and stuff. Most concussions are not coming from head-to-head collisions. It's coming from hitting your head on the ground or from stuff like that. Do not lower your head, and football is a safe sport. Okay, fluke things are going to happen, but football is a safe sport when played properly. That is not proper football, and unfortunately, he had to be sidelined and was
the first thing that I had ever heard any football coach say in my life was very first football practice. No matter what you do, when you go to tackle somebody, when you go to hit somebody, you keep your head up, keep your eyes up. That's every football player that has ever lived has heard that tons of times over their course of their career. So, and that's a great way to get a concussion very quickly. So, all right, we have another kind of tanky game, but not really because the Commanders are playing a little bit better than anyone expected them to. We got Bears at Washington -6 Thursday night football game. I feel good about Washington not only to win, but probably to cover as well.
Yeah, I agree. The Bears want to lose games at this point. Like you said, you've reached the point of there is no reason not to tank. You want the first and second pick. There's no reason to try to win football games anymore. it's over. The Bears are dead. Washington will cover. Oh, right off the rip, John's putting him in the best bets.
I like
Is
it.
that because you like Washington, or is that because you really, really just cannot see the Bears winning again?
I think Washington at home with at least a little bit of something to be hyped about right now. You know, you have the ability to beat a bad team, to have a winning record. I like that, right? That's a decent narrative that might kind of get the boys to play some football. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Jags still, why this is technically at Bills, but this is really at Jags because it's in London. They're home away from home. Bills are favored by 5.5 points. I like the Bills to win. I like the Bills to cover.
Trap game. Look at this, okay? The Jags have been in London since they just played the Falcons in London, right? So this is now a home game for the Jags because they've been there, right? You talk about the flight. You're in a different country. There's distractions. All those distractions the Jags have already kind of dealt with, right? They've already kind of whatever. They've hit up the London girls. They've gone and done that scene. All that those distractions are done. The Bills are getting there, high off a win. Everyone's talking good about them after a big time win against Miami. Distractions. You're coming over to a team that's been there. I love it. Jags cover this spread. Give me it on my best bets.
Woo! Alrighty.
5.5 for a team that, I mean, such a trap game, dude. Such a trap game. That is a scheduling dream for Jacksonville, by the way.
Giants at the Miami Dolphins minus
What do you
11.
mean the Miami Dolphins? They got blown out.
I still think that they might put up Denver level points against the Giants here, though. I mean, the Giants have the worst point differential in the league right now.
Yeah, they do. The Giants' defense isn't terrible, though. I think they're just a bad overall football team. Their offense is atrociously bad.
I like the Dolphins to cover here. I think they'll win by 2
I think the
touchdowns.
Giants cover 11, but I'm not like confident enough to put that in my best bets or anything. I just think 11's a huge spread. Yeah, I think the Giants cover 11.
I won't touch it for now either, but yeah, I like Dolphins. Panthers at Lions. And Lions are 9.5 point favorites.
Wow.
The only assumption on why I think this is the case is not so much our offense. I think our defense is going to shatter the spirit of this team. I mean, you have corners that are faster than all their receivers, and you have a pass rush that is better than what their offensive line can stomach. I like the Lions to win here and to cover.
Drew, I need you to look something up for us if you have a chance. It might take you a second, so we'll come back to it. When was the last time that the Lions had a spread that big? Favored in their
Yeah, that's a good question.
9.5. I mean, 9.5 point favorite. I don't know when the last time the Lions have been that big of a favorite. Maybe not in our lifetimes, honestly. Seriously, John, I don't know. That's a huge spread. The fact that I'm going to be at this game, I almost am the biggest coward in the world if I don't put this in my best bets, right? Like I'm at the game.
You got to do it.
So
just
I have
for the hell
to.
of it.
Yeah. Sorry,
cat
I have
teams.
to. My gut tells me that the Panthers will cover that, but what am I, a coward?
Cat teams represent.
Cat teams. Look at that. There's a lot of cat teams going on. But
Cat
I
teams
have
good
to
at
do it.
all.
I have to do it.
I will not put it in my best bets, but I do like that. I think they'll cover. Baltimore at the Steelers. I'm surprised that the Baltimore is only a 4-point favorite, just with the way that their defense has been playing lately.
Steelers are a different team at home.
That's very true. Unless they're playing the 49ers, that is. I like Baltimore to win here. I like Baltimore to cover here. No best bet though.
I like Pittsburgh to cover. And I think that they will cover because, like I said, different team at home. One of those teams that's kind of played Lamar Jackson tough for most of his career. Yeah, I like the Steelers to cover. Not my best bets, but I do like them to cover for.
Texans at Falcons. Falcons are a 2-point favorite. I like Houston. Like maybe even best bet level. I like them. And I get them. I'm feeling a little bit spicy after how they just played the Steelers. But man, this feels like a winnable game for the Texans. So I'm gonna toss them in here. I like it.
You make a good point, John.
Is Troy still on the team?
I think so.
I haven't. That's bad on me for not knowing. Frankly, I should know at this point. Now that the dust has settled from preseason.
I'm gonna go with the Texans as well as a best bet. They're playing good football. The Falcons are not. The quarterback. It comes down to quarterback matchup, and when you're gonna give me Ritter compared to Stroud the way he's been playing, I'm sorry. I'm gonna take and also D'Amico Ryans scheming up different looks. We've talked about. We've shown film on this podcast before of those tough looks D'Amico Ryans does against quarterbacks, and Ritter, not a favorable matchup for him when that's what he's going to be seeing is different blitz packages.
Yep.
I like the Texans a lot.
Saints at Pats. Pats are a 1.5-point favorite. Man, I've been so confident in the Saints until I've seen what their offense has been able to do lately. I think they'll win this game just because Pats are in shambles. But I don't even know if I can take them to cover. I don't even know if I'm confident enough to say a 1.5 point. Getting 1.5 points is enough. Yeah, I don't love that aspect of it. And until I see improvement offensively, I'm probably going to avoid putting them in any sort of best bets. But I do like them to win.
It's a tough one. Both these teams kind of stink, in my opinion. I'm going to go with the Patriots at home.
Need to bounce back. Gotta win a game.
Back. Belichick, worst loss of his career last week. Worst loss of his career.
That's crazy.
It almost makes me want to put him as a best bet. Great coaches bounce back.
Double down.
I can't. I think they stink.
They do stink.
I can't. I got to go Patriots. I can't put it in my best bet.
Am I too high to say that, Titans at Colts? I really like the Titans here. I think the way that they've been playing defensively has been incredibly consistent, and they seem to figure something out on offense last week. Derrick Henry seems to be playing, how we're used to watching Derrick Henry play. He was battling injury a good bit the past couple of seasons. I like it. I'm going to add him to my best bets. I think they're going to win this game.
Quietly hearing a lot of Anthony Richardson talk about how I'm wrong and that might go down as one of the worst takes ever. I'm not sold on him still, guys. I'm sorry. He has not shown me enough. And they lost last week again. I'm taking the Titans, not as a best bet.
Like them to win, though.
I do like them to win. I can't get behind Anthony Richardson. I can't do it. I've dug myself this deep. I can't switch up now.
Not yet. You can't. I mean, look, he's made some good athletic plays.
He's made some athletic plays. No one said he wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
no one
and
said
he's
he
made
wouldn't do that.
Some good passes too. But as you said, Mark, I mean, he's still very raw, and they are not winning games. And I don't think you can start putting, a rookie quarterback 4 games in the conversation of not a bust if the team's losing games a lot still. So
simple math here, John. For every great play he makes, whether it's with his feet or on the move or just a great throw or great read, there's probably 2 plays that truly affect the outcome of the game in a negative way, whether it's just a misread, missing an open guy, throwing an interception, taking a sack, whatever it is. So can't get behind it.
Yeah. Not clutch in those critical situations yet, but nobody expects him to be at this point. So that's not outright saying it's a habit yet. It's just an experience. Eagles at Rams. Eagles are favorited by 4 points. Rams don't have any fans at home. Remember that, because they're all in St. Louis. So
Eagles fans will travel somehow.
yeah, they will. They'll find a way. I like Eagles to win it. I like Eagles to cover.
Same, but not enough to put in my best bets.
Same. Bengals at Cardinals. 3-point favorite. I don't want to touch this game with a 10-foot pole. Crazy enough, though, I'm going to take the Cardinals to win it.
No way.
Put Joe Burrow and their Bengals away. They're not going to recover from that. They wouldn't make the playoffs if they lost that game. Cardinals, nice little confidence booster. I don't know, man.
This doesn't happen very often, but give me the Bengals, where me and John disagree this aggressively, because I think this is an absolute
It's a
nuclear
must-win.
drag it to my best bets, because I'll be damned if I watch Joe Burrow just piss away this season this early. They might not be the team that's going to go compete with the Chiefs in the AFC like everyone thought they'd be, but they're sure as hell not as bad as everyone's talking about them being right now. Give me the Bengals. I love it.
All right. KC at Vikings. I'm surprised that KC's only 5-point favorites. That is really a testament to how much their offense is underperforming. I like that for my best bet, frankly. I think that KC's defense will keep the Vikes at bay. And I don't expect the Vikings defense to, be able to shut down Patty and the boys. So I'm a fan.
And fun fact, as we go back to the Lions game, Drew's a stat master. He somehow found this. 12-21, 2014, Detroit was a 10-point favorite against Chicago, and they ended up winning by 6.
Wow. So they have not. So, hey, Drew, go find the last time they covered a spread that. No, I'm joking. 2014 was the last time the Lions were over. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Thanks for the stat, asshole, but we're going to need more.
Oh, that took you 20 minutes to find. Let's go find you.
No, that's actually insane that he found that, because I was slightly trying to find it as well.
We found another one. 12-7, 2014. They covered a 10-point spread versus, what is that, Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Okay,
well, that's, listen. Maybe they don't always cover those big spreads, but I'm going to take my odds. If I'm at the game, I'm sticking with it.
No, definitely. I like it. Hey, you got a 50-50 shot if you're taking 2014 Lions standards, so I like it.
This is not the same old Lions, man.
Not the same old. Brand new, in fact. Jets at Broncos and
revenge game.
Yeah,
revenge game.
Oh man, I like the Jets to win this. Yeah,
totally.
I might just out of respect for Nathaniel Hackett throw this in.
I love this board. Give me the Jets. Best bet. I mean, we're gonna run out of room under our best bets, John.
I'm actually I throw the logos on top of each other as a joke, but at this point, I don't have a choice.
We love the board this week. We love it, love it, love it, love it. Give me the Jets. Fuck Sean Payton, honestly, for what he said about Nathaniel Hackett. I hope he eats his words. I just thought that was so unprofessional, and it comes back to the fact if Aaron Rodgers was playing in this game, it would have been an absolute domination. It'll be a little bit more competitive because it's Zach Wilson, but the Broncos stink. Russell Wilson still stinks. They think that they're sick after beating the Bears. Give me the Jets. Best bet. I love it. I hope that defense absolutely just gets after Russell Wilson and just makes his day hell.
I hope so too.
And I hope Sean Payton cries.
I love it. The game that everybody is anticipating, awesome Sunday night football matchup. Man, I like San Fran to win this. I don't know about covering. This is going to be a crazy game. I cannot wait. This is going to be a test.
Fuck, I love this game as a best bet. You know why?
Why?
Dallas. Give me Dallas to cover.
Dallas to cover.
Dallas to cover and very well could win this game. Brock Purdy, undefeated, has not lost a regular season game as a starter yet. That changes this week. The Giants defense gets after quarterbacks, okay? And they've stopped the run pretty well. Did I say Niners?
You said Giants.
Sorry. Wow, that's really bad. The Giants defense definitely doesn't do that. The Cowboys defense gets after quarterbacks and does a very good job of that. So I'm taking Dallas, puts pressure on Brock Purdy. Listen, they call him Big Cock Brock. Let's see, right? This is the time to see it.
All Whip it out, baby. Green Bay.
Whip it out. Give me Dallas.
You said now's the time to see it. I had to play off of it. Anyways,
again, no homo. Like we're not, and there's, we're not. This is kind of a.
See, I didn't know about the whole Chris Jones wardrobe failure in his combine until he went on New Heights.
Yeah, dude, we're talking a lot about dudes and dicks in this episode. Whatever.
It's football. It happens.
It is what it is. Football.
Yeah.
Football is football.
Yeah.
It's
Green Bay at the Raiders. I hate this. Green Bay at the Raiders. I like Green Bay to win it here, honestly, and they're a slight favorite. I think McDaniel sucks, and I think Green Bay has something to prove. So
is Jimmy G playing?
He's to be determined. They don't know for sure yet, but I think he's playing.
If he plays, and I'm not putting this in my best bets, but if he plays, the Raiders win, and it's revenge game. We have double revenge games: Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Double revenge game. Sorry, not Sunday Night Football. The Jets Broncos revenge game, and then Monday Night Football revenge game. Packers Raiders. Also kind of revenge game with Dallas because San Fran beat them last year in the playoffs.
Right.
Devontae Adams, Packers legend. Misses
also,
Green Bay.
Richie Bisaccia not getting that head coaching job, not even getting interviewed for the head coaching job.
Yes. Double revenge.
Yeah, I like
double
this.
revenge.
Look, as Mark said, this board's sick this week. I like it a lot.
I love the board.
Fan.
Look at that board.
It's good stuff.
That looks like a Monopoly. That looks like a Monopoly board.
It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. Like I don't even understand how to play Monopoly.
You don't?
No, I do. I actually hate it.
Oh my goodness. Drew.
Look at Drew. God, Drew is really putting it together. We talk shit to him, but this guy.
We're a quarter of the way through the season, and Drew put together this beautiful board. We're going to do a power rankings. And look, some YouTubers, they do a power ranking every single week. We're a little bit more established than that, right? We got better things to talk about than to rank.
We don't do it every week because that's too often, right?
I like quarterly,
you don't want knee-jerk reactions. You want to just like quarterly,
like a quarterly power.
Yeah, we're like a business, right? Quarterly,
So let's do our top 10 first, and then we'll kind of discuss the rest of this board a little bit. So look, at 10, Mark and I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And look,
are you saying that because they're in London, not France?
I don't know, man.
Okay.
Anyways, they're playing pretty good football. They have some areas to improve. Their losses have looked a little ugly, but you got Doug Peterson, you got T-Law, you got a lot of offensive weapons. I like them at 10. They're the 10th best team. They're a playoff bubble kind of team. They're a division bubble kind of team. That's where I got them.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
Cool. At 9, Mark and I have the Seahawks. Physical team, gritty team, really good defense, Legion of Boom, round 2, basically right around the corner here. Pete Carroll knows how to coach them up.
Yeah. Insert the Seahawk loud screech noise because they're coming.
Or some
yeah, I can't do it. That. The fact that you did it and tried is embarrassing. So maybe we clip that, but I'm not going to do it.
And while we're talking cat teams and bird teams, at 8 we have Baltimore Ravens. I had to make a case for it for Mark, but I think the way that they're playing, they rightfully deserve to be at that 8th spot. But just a little bit better than them, just a little bit grittier than them. We have at 7 cat team, Detroit Lions.
I'd say a lot better than the Ravens. I think there's a gap from 8 to 7. I do think there's a big skill gap from 8 to 7.
We will be able to
see in this top 7. There's a big jump from that from the Ravens to the Lions. There's a big jump.
We'll be able to put that to the test in 3-4 weeks. I think they play him sometime in early November. I want to say. At 6, Mark and I have the Eagles. Look, they are not looking at the Super Bowl level that they were last year. They're still looking really good. I think it's just coordinators having to, clean up some stuff for them to really be back at that level. Obviously, just as talented as they were last year. Boils down to scheme and execution.
A lot of cat and birds. So
lots. We got cat team, bird team, cat team, bird team. Finally breaking that mold with Arrow team, Native American team. At 5, we have Kansas City, defending Super Bowl champs, but their offense just isn't quite as explosive as it was last year, and they're not scheming guys open the same way. So to be determined. They do kind of sometimes have these little slumps at times and then get right back to their prior form. So we'll see if that's the case this year. At number 4, we have the Miami Dolphins.
Now, for the record, I wanted the Kansas City Chiefs ahead of Miami.
There was a heavy debate here, and then there was a heavy debate on whether or not Dolphins should be at 3 above the next team. My thing is, look, they lost to the Bills. I still think this is one of the most explosive offenses in the league, and I'm not going to take one loss to a really, really good division rival as the reason why this team isn't a contender. You know, they're a damn good team. But at 3, we have the Dallas Cowboys. And my argument to Mark was, look, Miami's one loss to the Bills is a lot better looking than the Cowboys' one loss to the Cardinals. But I conceded. I was like, whatever. You know, the Cowboys do look really good, both offensively, defensively, a little bit more complete than the Dolphins overall.
You act like the Dolphins didn't have a close game with New England. Come on.
They still
New
won.
England stinks.
Care about Dubs.
Did you see what Dallas did to them? Come on. If you want to play this, you know, this quantitative property, you know, the transitive property, that doesn't work.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
I remember math. I was an A student. Sue me.
At number 2, we have the Buffalo Bills. Started rough week 1, but they are looking to be just like the Buffalo Bills of seasons past. Josh Allen playing lights out. They look great. But at number 1, and this should be as no surprise to all of you who have watched Mark and I talk about this team week in and week out. Best team, in our opinion, in the NFL right now, at this moment, are the San Francisco 49ers. Just absolute complete team, lights out offensively, defensively. They have their first big test with the Cowboys this week, but I think they get that dub.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they're the top team. There's no doubt the Bills are the second best team after this week. Fun fact, John and I have had a lot of math classes together, guys, over the years, and I almost always did better than him because John was kind of a little bit lazy as a student, even though he's probably smarter than me. And
then I went on to do way harder math than you've ever conceived of doing in your life in grad school because I stopped being lazy. But Mark is correct. I was not the best student in high school, and then I was lights out, to say the least, in college. Not that it matters. I'm just going to do this. I think
without even saying anything, we're just going to drag. Yeah. Wait, that doesn't require a whole lot of math. Who's the worst team in the league? Who's the worst team in sports?
The Bears.
Right now.
The Bears. We need to get
Bears.
we need to get our
also, you know what's
Bears
crazy,
fan.
guys? Bears fans, there is one good thing that's going on. Our merch for you is maybe the best design of the 4 that we're launching. Just
Looks
putting
really
it out
good.
there. It's my favorite. I had to buy one, and I hate the Bears. I'm a Lions fan. It's just that good. So you have that going for you.
31st team. I think we're at what, to me, this shouts Giants, Broncos, Cardinals. That's how I feel about.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and then it gets a little bit harder from here, but I'm gonna go
Panthers,
and then I want to say Raiders, Colts,
then Raiders. I'd say
Colts, Raiders. Okay, this might get a little bit convoluted because I didn't know that Drew was gonna have us fill everybody else out in, but it's kind of fun, so we're doing it.
It is fun.
Okay, it gets a little tougher now from here.
LA.
No, not yet. Falcons, I'm going to say.
Falcons, Minnesota.
Pats, probably at the 23rd team.
Yeah.
Steelers. Bengals.
Damn, really? You think?
They are 1-3.
I know.
Okay. Until they're not look, we're going to do this quarterly, so we'll see it at week 9, and the Bengals might be higher. Right now, they are 1-3. I can't put them much higher than that.
Pains me.
It does, but it's true.
Still my lock of the week, best bet of the week is the Bengals.
I'm going to go, I like Commanders. Houston? Does that feel about right? No, actually, I have to be unbiased here.
You have to be unbiased. I was going to say, I was going to have
Saints
to call
have
you
not
out
come
there.
off the board yet. Then Houston. Then
Titans.
I take Titans, LA.
Rams.
Yep, Titans. Then Rams.
Packers. Tampa.
Jets. Chargers, Browns.
I would say Jets, Browns, Chargers.
Okay. And honestly, we put Jets too high. I think we need to swap them with Tampa for the time being.
Really?
I mean, yeah, they don't have a lot of wins.
Great defense, man. Great defense.
They do, but again, we can review this again in week 9. But right now, the Jets need to win some games for us to say that they're not, out of the playoffs at this point in time.
I don't hate it. I don't hate this. There's
like
most of these I agree with, and that's our first quarter practice squad NFL power rankings. We'll see what this looks like as we get into the second quarter of the season. We'll do it again. Love the graphic.
Great job,
love
Drew.
the graphic. Great job, Drew. Great stat finding, Drew. Also, Drew is infamous for being in the chat, which you guys can't see. But when I say something funny, stupid, or maybe something that I probably shouldn't say on air, he's the first one to say something in the chat. Appreciate that, Drew. You represent the people before we go live.
He does. Yeah, and we cannot, really give him enough shout outs. Yeah, he is the glue that makes Practice Squad Pod a pretty efficient machine. I mean, we put out damn near 10 videos a week. And so a lot of that is credit to Drew kind of helping us get a lot of this stuff out the door. So with that, we are a quarter of the way through the season. I'm loving the season just as much as seasons past, except maybe a little extra because the Lions are a kick-ass, badass football team. But yeah,
John, I got one fun thing for you. The last thing we do in this episode, as we look at these power rankings.
Shoot.
I need you to pick one team from the bottom half of these rankings that will finish in the top 10 of our rankings.
Okay, so this side.
Bottom half.
Bottom half. Okay, so 6. Okay. I kind of like Houston to come out and surprise some people, maybe win the division. That would be crazy. Because if you win, because then you have to be a playoff team, which kind of puts you in that top 10, right? I like Houston. Offensive line gets healthy. They start winning some games that just shock people. D'Amico Ryans has them all the way coached up. Maybe win the division. That's what I would say is the most likely scenario, is that Houston wins the division.
So that's your team you pick in the top 10. All right. Mine might shock some people. The Vikings.
Wow, that does shock me.
Yeah, I think they're a team that we've seen them win close games. They haven't gone their way so far this year, but I'm not going to write them off completely yet. If there's any team, I look at those bottom half teams, or any team that has the experience, the coaching, and the talent to do it, it would be them, in my opinion.
And sorry, Drew said he put the Lombardis there so that we can put who we think's going to win the Super Bowl
at this point in the year.
Drag
mine right next to yours, San Francisco. I think if you think that, and this is, San Fran's been close so many times, right? They were in the Super Bowl. They were going to make the Super Bowl, barring Brock Purdy getting hurt and their backup quarterback getting hurt. You cannot convince me they weren't going to beat the Eagles in that game if that doesn't happen. This is their year. It's kind of now or never for the 49ers, honestly. They've been flirting with it. They've been talking to the same girl for 3 years, working up the courage to finally land it, and I think that they're going to land it.
The roster could not be in a better spot for them to go and get it done. So you better hope to God that they do, because as Mark said, I don't know how much better your roster and coaching combination gets than what it currently is right now. So,
John, what year did you ask out Hannah?
It was a decade ago now, so it would have been 2013.
So the Niners are 2013 John Vogel. That's what they are.
They're ready to go. Right.
They're ready to go. They waited. They were talking. Hey, I don't know. This girl's kind of cute.
We'll try to see if we can get her on the show next week. She's been saying she'd like to be a guest. She just doesn't know what, the reason would be, because she's not.
This is a great reason.
Fan.
Hopefully we get a couple females on the show.
If you call them females,
if you've learned anything in the last couple of weeks, NFL fans and Swifties, it's that football represents all people.
Sure does.
If Taylor Swift and her fan base can come and enjoy the NFL,
anybody
why can't anybody?
Anybody can. It is the people's sport. Anyways, we appreciate everybody for watching. This was a fun episode. I think Mark and I had a lot of fun with this one. And we will see you next week with more banter, more picks, more hot takes, more recap, all that good stuff.
More sus takes too.
More sus takes too. I guess Mark's really priding himself in the sus takes at this moment. But
That's what it is.
we will see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.